Hello! So I wanted to tell everybody about my experience with sleepaway camp. The first time I ever went away to camp, it was in 6th grade. It was a mandatory thing that all of the classes at my elementary school did. Was when you were in 6th grade, you took a week out of school, the school year, and would go up to a camp called Camp Cuyamaca. So that was really fun. I grew up in San Diego, so the camp was in the mountains, in the Cuyamaca Mountains. And we went up there with the rest of our class. You meet kids from other schools. We did stargazing at nighttime. We ate a lot of really delicious food, standard camp food like s'mores and sloppy joes, stuff like that. Did a lot of crafts, and I just had a really good time. I didn't really miss my parents very much, or miss my home. I just was very happy to be around that many other kids and just doing fun stuff on what was essentially a school week. So the summer before 8th grade, I decided I really wanted to go to a summer-long sleepaway camp. And so I was researching all these different camps and getting pretty into it. There was one camp that I really had my eye on. It was a horseback riding camp, also up in the mountains of San Diego. I didn't have a lot of previous experience with horseback riding, but my dad's best friend Jennifer did have a horse, so I would go with her to the stables a lot, just to help with the horses. I love to brush them, to mix their feed, to feed them carrots. I love brushing their tails and petting their noses. Also, they had a lot of barn cats that hung around, which I also enjoyed. So one day, while me and my mom were discussing the different camp options, she said that her friend's daughter had gone to a weight loss camp with great success, and that maybe that was something I would look into. Now, like all adolescent girls, I was a little bit uncomfortable with my body. I was really tall. So in 8th grade, I was 5'8", and maybe a little bit on the heavier side. My favorite activity after I got home from school was to eat Oreos and fall asleep watching Oprah. So not the healthiest at that time, nothing crazy, but I decided maybe I would like to go to that camp. It wasn't really my idea, so part of me was a little bit angry that she would even bring it up, but the other part of me was like, ooh, I can go to 8th grade looking like a new person. So I decided to go to this camp called Camp La Jolla. La Jolla is a city very, very close to the San Diego city limits. It is on the beach. There is a university there where the camp was going to be held called UCSD, so we were staying at the UCSD campus, which I thought was very cool. So my mom went ahead and signed me up. It was a very expensive camp, I think somewhere in the realm of like $3,500 for the summer, so it was quite pricey. And I would get these videotapes in the mail about a month before that would just get me ready for camp, and the head of the camp, her name was Nancy Lenhart, was a very lively lady and would just leave us messages about how excited she was we were all going to be at camp. Yeah! So I knew that I was in for an active summer. When I got to the camp, there was a lot of really great things about it. I met some really great friends, including my friend Irene, who I'm still friends with today. And the activities were pretty fun, but it was strenuous. We would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to what is called hike and stretch. So before you eat or do anything, you would walk half a mile to the UCSD track. You would walk or run a mile, walk half a mile back, and then you ate breakfast, and then you would do 2 exercise classes. So I did a spinning class and an ab class. And after I was done with that, you would eat lunch, and then you would have a really long class in the afternoon. So the one I decided to take was a hike that they had down to the beach. And it did this Monday through Friday, and the hike was 5 miles long, really pretty scenery, nice. But I noticed after we got to the beach, we were pretty much left alone. All of the counselors would just hang out together, and you kind of had free reign for about 2 hours to do what you wanted on the beach. If you wanted to lay out, or if you wanted to go boogie boarding, whatever you wanted to do, as long as you were back at the bus by 4 o'clock, because the bus would take us back, because 10 miles would be too much to hike. So when I was down at the beach, I knew San Diego very well because I grew up there, but a lot of kids were not from San Diego and were not familiar with this area. But I knew that there was a delicious burger restaurant just 2 blocks off of the La Jolla Beach. So I told my cabin mate at the time, hey, there's a really great burger restaurant. I think we should sneak away and go, because at this point, it was about 3 weeks into camp. Everyone was hungry. So she said, sure, why not? And we went and ate at the burger restaurant called Jeff's Burgers. And when we got back that night, we were telling everybody else who was in it wasn't actually a cabin, it was a dorm, because we were staying at UCSD, but we told them all what we had done and how delicious it was. And so people who did not have that hike down to the beach class started asking for food that maybe we could obtain while we were there. Right next to Jeff's Burgers, I should mention, there is a convenience store with all of the candies and soda that one could want. So at first it just started with the people in my dorm. There were 8 people. And I would take a request. For instance, if you wanted a Hershey's candy bar, I could go get that for you, no problem. And then I charged a $1 surcharge fee. Pretty soon, almost everybody in the camp, I think it was about 500 or 600 people, knew about it. Not 500 or 600 people used my services, but definitely most people knew about it. And I was charging $2 at that time. I think that this was like 2002. $2 for a can of soda, $2 for a candy bar. And then, we would work out prices from there. And in about a week, I had made about $250. So this was my routine. Every day I would work out dutifully. Every day I would eat perfect dutifully. And every day at around 3 o'clock, I would go either to Jeff's Burgers or to the convenience store next door to pick up a bunch of things for the other campers. So after about a week of this, Nancy Lenhart, who was the head of the camp, found out that food was coming in, and very shortly found out that it was me, because I wasn't secretive about it. I didn't really think I was doing anything wrong. I really like to stick it to the man, and I don't think that we were treated fairly all the time, because everybody needs, especially if you're working out that much, everybody needs a cheat day, and we didn't have that, so I provided that. Needless to say, I got in a lot of trouble. I was almost kicked out of the camp. They had to call my parents. My dad thought it was hilarious, and I was allowed to keep the money, interestingly enough. So the operation was shut down, but I made some pretty decent money, and that was my experience at camp. It was a little different, but good times.